Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mortgage Tech Talks. Today, I'm talking about social media. I talked to a lot of brokers. A lot of them are getting excited, people wanting to get into social media, but not knowing where to start. So, not being a social media expert myself, but seeing a lot of people do it successfully, I try to pull all those out and give you three specific buckets, things that you need to think about and work on to get your social media empire up and running. Really, it's about production, it's about distribution, and then it's about conversions. And so we walk through all three of those buckets, what's involved in each of them, your different options. You're not going to learn everything about social media in this call, but it should give you a starting point of where you can go and how you want to actually implement it for your social media profile. There's definitely a lot about social media that I didn't touch on in this, but like I said, hopefully it gives you that hold to get started. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Truth maybe is that every time you put a document in an email, that is the most vulnerable place. Hello, everyone. Welcome to what I'm calling the crash course, Starting Your Social Media Empire. I talk to a lot of brokers out there, and a lot of them are talking about social media more and more. Why that's happening, I think it's two things. I think that, it's a little bit of a tougher market, absolutely. And so people are looking at new ways to stir up business. But of course, it's also the market, right? People use social media way more. I think that it's not like a huge jump in the past couple of years. People have always, not always, but probably in the past 5-10 years, steadily increased their social media usage over time. And I think it's just responding to it, right? So it's saying, okay, up to date, some other strategies have worked, but now there's this new channel that's just growing. It's only going to continue to grow, and it's kind of high time to jump on it and do it. So this is a crash course. A lot of people are talking about it, thinking about it, but a lot of times when they come to me, say, I want to do social media. And I say, well, what do you mean by that? They're like, oh, I just need to do social media. It's not perfectly clear all the time. What are the steps? What are the things I need to be thinking about in order to really do that? And what does that even mean? And what goals am I trying to achieve by actually doing social media if I put in all this work and all this time to go out and do social media, whatever that means? What am I expecting on the other end? And so, yeah, I think we're going to kind of break down all of that. We're going to get right into it here. There's really three things I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to talk about content, producing content, I should call that. So let's call that production. That's number one. Number two is going to be distribution. So how do you get it out there? And then the third thing is going to be conversion, right? So depending on your goals, how do you convert what you're doing on social media to whatever goal you're trying to achieve, right? And that could be different. So we're going to go one by one, and we're going to just go through it. It's going to be a quick crash course. I'm going to throw a lot of little bits and pieces at you. But I think that all in all, the point is this just to give you a taste, but a little bit deeper than maybe you get from those quick 30-second sound bites that maybe you saw on social media somewhere. Let's get into it. Let's start with production. So production is, as it sounds, it's producing the content that you're going to actually end up posting. And there's three layers to this I think about. So the first layer, I think it's the easiest, but for a lot of people, it's the scariest. And what that is kind of maybe the most basic one you can think of, is you just literally take out your phone. I'll get to in a second what you should talk about, but talk to it for 30 seconds and then go to the Instagram app and hit upload, right? So it's the first one I do because it really is the simplest. Literally, that could be a minute. But the trick with it for a lot of people is just they get in their own head. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? What if no one likes it? What if I don't get a lot of views? And so, yeah, first off, what do you talk about? Talk about what you already talk about all day, right? I mean, you talk to these clients, you give them information that they might not know about. Yes, it's specific to their situation, but there's no shortage of knowledge that you have as a mortgage broker that people will find valuable. You know that because you're a successful mortgage broker. You know that in the conversations you have with your clients, you're providing value. So just do it to the screen. It's a little bit weird, but honestly, a coworker of mine was trying to do some kind of rehearsal demos, things like that. And I said, literally behind your phone, put a picture of the client and pretend you're just talking to them. And it was such an unlock for that person. It's like, yeah, I'm just talking to Sally and I'm very comfortable talking with Sally. But for whatever reason, when we put our phone camera there, we kind of freeze up. So just pretend you're talking to a client, get that information in, just upload and go, right? So I think that's the easiest. And in terms of not worried about not getting a lot of views, you can see in my social media platform, or as I should say profile, I started that way. Scroll down to the very bottom, terrible production quality. Didn't matter. I got like 3 views per, and I've slowly ramped up. And now it's obviously a lot more than it is today, but it's a starting point, right? It allows you to just establish yourself and see what's working and what doesn't, get over some of that fear that you might have about talking, just start doing it, right? So that is the base layer. The next layer up, it's a little bit tied, I would say. I mean, for those people out there, like, I hear what you're saying, Tom, but I get in my own head. It's just the way I am. I know that if you're telling me this is the only way I'm going to be able to do social media, it's just not for me. For those people that say, okay, maybe this is then the first step. I say for a lot of people, maybe it's the next step up. But if you need to start here, you need to start here. And what I'm getting at, the next step is working with some professionals. So there's a lot of companies out there. I'll kind of go through 4 of them today that will basically once a month drop 20 social posts into your inbox. And they're usually pictures. Sometimes they're a Canva post that you can kind of edit. And you edit it, you put in your name, you maybe put in your picture, and then you post it, right? So you're getting the content automatically pre-built for you. And it's going to be standard stuff, right? It's going to be in March. You're going to have a St. Patrick's Day one. You're going to say, have one when the Bank of Canada makes their announcement in March. You're going to have a post for that specific day. It's all going to be there. And, it's good, right? It is good stuff. I mean, for this type of post, it does relate to the third point I was saying of what your actual goal is. So all these ones are related, right? I'm going to give 3 steps, but they are related because these are really good for, depending on your goal, that brand awareness, right? It is better at that just to say, hey, is Tom a real person? Well, I opened up his Instagram profile and he has all these posts and he's posting almost every day or every week. Okay, he's a real person. So if that's your goal, just to get awareness, then it's great. This type of content is not as conducive to converting them to maybe real mortgage leads. It's more for that just kind of brand awareness. So a couple quick names just to throw at you, just if you're like, hey, this one seems like the one for me. For those ones, I'll just share my screen here real quick. So yeah, this one here is one, the Mortgage Broker Social Club. A lady named Lacey runs this. You can see there's a couple different packages. This is the one I'm talking about here. So she's got exactly that, gives you 20 different graphics. You can post them each month. Next one here, a group called Open House. All these are Canadian. All these are specific to the mortgage market. The $33 a month. Again, they have these posts. They have a resource library. They have a ton of great stuff here. And then the other one here is the Mortgage Broker Social Media. So you can see mortgagebrokersocialmedia.com. And again, hub for that. And I think these guys are like $47 or something like that. So all of them are very similar. These 3 so far, I kind of know each of the different people who are running it. Great group there. Make really high quality content. I think choosing between them is just a matter of style and how you like to work. Each of them have also their own little perks, things like, hey, you can join a community or a weekly call or different things like that. So there's little perks. And so this call is not about going into each one and talking about the perks. It's more just to let you guys aware and allow you to go in and kind of do that research for yourself. The 4th one I'll mention here, this one is a little bit different in that it's not, I would say, so much like a club. Like each of these kind of brand themselves as a community and a club. And I think there's a lot of value. 4th one here is called RoomVoo. They are US based, so they have a big US presence, but they have some Canadians who use the platform too. It is, I think, primarily for real estate, but a little bit for mortgage brokers, but they're very much more of a software platform. Right? You just sign up, you put in your credit card every month, you log into the portal, you can download some things, and it's just a different style. So for some people, they really like that. Some people, they don't. Again, it's up to you. But this is one that's a little bit different. And the thing that they really pitch is hyper localized, right? So being able to say, okay, I'm in Toronto, what's going on here? But even if you're in more niche markets, Kitchener, Hamilton, if you're in Vancouver or Langley or Kelowna, like what's going on in each of those markets. At least they claim, I'm not going to vouch for it, but that seems to be their pitch here, just because I don't know. But yeah, that seems to be the pitch here, is that they have that local type content. So that is the second layer, right? And again, this is more so that awareness. But if you're like, no, I want the best in terms of converting, I want to find leads, you might have to go to the 3rd layer. I don't ever recommend going to this 3rd layer. Always start at one of the lower layers and work your way up, because if you go straight to this 3rd layer, unless you're just, a sleeping dragon, so to speak, and just a killer at social media, it might just lead to more frustration than it's worth. And what that is basically combining the two. Someone who comes to your office, this is what we do, once a month or something like that. They have scripts for you, they film you, they edit it, they post it for you. It's a lot of money. That's why I'm saying it might lead to some frustration, but it is pretty hands-off. You spend that little bit of time, one day a month, you get it out and everything's just there for you. So yeah, I absolutely recommend kind of working your way up the chain. But the great thing about it, it's a high production quality. People appreciate that. It's coming from your voice, right? So that's really a key criteria, I think, for that, converting them to real mortgage leads. But yeah, that's kind of the 3rd layer. And honestly, I'm not going to put a price tag on it, but you're probably honestly looking over $1,000 a month. We pay a bit more than that ourselves. But yeah, that's the reality of it. And for those people who are saying, I want to really get into social media, again, it depends on those goals. And I really want to start generating real business from my social media profile, then $1,000 a month, maybe it has that very positive ROI. I mean, I know a lot of people who do it and spend that kind of money. It's absolutely worth it for them. So it completely depends, again, on those goals that you're going for. But that is the third layer. So I'll pause there. That's production. That's the first step. Just getting something, just getting content. It's so, so important. And honestly, most people get stuck at that step. It's probably the hardest step. It's one of those things where I don't think it's really built into our day to day. Sometimes you don't think of it all the time. And if this is something you're serious about, I think, this is really what's involved, right? So I think you need to be aware of what's going on, because the last thing you want is to jump in one of these things, not be ready, and then it just ends up being a failure. So be fully prepared, know what's involved. But if social media is part of your strategy for 2025, this is the right place to start. So let's go to number 2. This one's going to be a little bit quicker, but quickly want to mention it because this is kind of bringing it back to the tech side of things. The second thing is distribution. And really for distribution, again, I'd say there's kind of 2 categories for this. So the one is what I described earlier, which is literally once you filmed on your phone, whatever, just get it, open up the app, hit upload, and you're gone, right? So that's the easiest. That's like, again, the base layer, the simplest thing. If you're just starting out, just do that, right? And then fast forward now to the next section, the conversion section, because you don't need to hear anymore. If you are looking to maybe take things a little bit more to the next level, then the next thing for distribution, say, is just to get a little bit of software to help you. When I talk about some of these platforms, these social type clubs that give you content, oftentimes that's all they do. They just kind of give you the content, but it's then up to you to maybe edit it, but absolutely post it to the respective place. And that can be a lot of overhead, right? So I go into Facebook post, there we go. Go into Instagram post, there you go. And then 5 days later, I got to do the same thing, and then I forget, and then it falls off the wagon. So what I recommend for anybody, kind of couple these things together that are, if you're going to go that route where you get once a month, 20 social posts and a very specific calendar of when they need to post, use some software to help you. So the most popular one in this space, the one that's kind of the leader, they're actually Vancouver based, but I think they're kind of leaders across North America, is a company called Hootsuite. Check them out. Hoot, H-O-O-T, Suite, S-U-I-T-E. And they basically handle that next step for you for the whole month, right? So you get a bunch of content, or maybe you film a bunch of content yourself. You can go to this platform, upload everything, and then say, post this on this day, post that on that day, that's that on that. You can schedule it the whole month, and it'll do it to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and whatever else. It'll go to all the platforms for you, right? So it just allows you that efficiency in that distribution. Hootsuite's a great example. Quick shout out, Blue Mortgage, of course, the company that I work for. We have a social platform that does something very similar, if not identical to Hootsuite, that distribution. And I believe My Broker Pro does too. I don't know their platform as well, but I know they're on Go High Level, which has this kind of social media capabilities. So you could check out each of those. So that's the middle bucket, distribution, kind of 2 layers there. The base layer, the simple layer, just from your phone, hit upload, gone. But if you're doing something a little bit more intense, you probably want a tool that helps you distribute and plan and schedule out these different posts. Okay, so that was a quick one. And then the last one is the conversion. So it's, okay, I've done all this work. I've gone out, I made content for myself. Great. I've then gone out and bought some software or something like that to help me distribute. Now it's out there. How do I actually convert? What am I actually doing with this, right? And so the first thing, is I've been alluding to this whole time, it completely depends on your goals. So, and I think there's really 2 big goals, and I've alluded to. One is brand awareness, and one is actually mortgage leads doing it. And so if your goal is brand awareness, let's start there. Congratulations, you've already won, right? I mean, yeah, let's say for better or for worse, the goal is kind of in itself, right? If people are hitting your page and seeing this post, you've kind of checked that box, brand awareness. The conversion from actually hitting the page, your social page, to hitting your goal, it's basically the same thing, right? So as long as you're posting regularly and you're doing this sort of thing, check, you've done it, great, don't need to worry about it. If your goal is to actually do mortgage leads, I think it's quite a bit more involved, but I think it's doable. Like I've seen a lot of people do it. So I'm going to run you down kind of the quick formula that I see work pretty well to actually take someone from landing on your social media page to actually saying, hey, let's do some business together. And I'm going to focus on Instagram because for the people that I've seen be successful, it is primarily Instagram. Now, maybe that's something, a demographic thing. Maybe it's just the nature of the platform. If you're not on Instagram, you probably could apply this to Facebook or some other platforms, but Instagram is where I see works really well, this type of conversion strategy. So The first thing that I'd say for conversions, and like I said, these things are related, is making sure you do have the right content. These generic posts, they don't work to convert, right? Forget about them. You're just wasting your time. If you really want real mortgage leads, you need to have hyper specific, you talking to the client saying, I am the best person to solve the problems that you have. And so within that, now that I've kind of established, okay, I'm talking to you, I'm trying to solve your problems, there's three kind of, I guess, problems you can say I've seen work well on social media. So the first one is, I'm going to help you with your economic situation, or I'm going to help you invest. So that is one type of content that I see work really well. For you as a broker, you got to decide, am I in that market? Am I looking to help investors? Do I know enough to really provide that unique perspective? But it's really good because it's a type of thing that someone will continue to go back to, and they'll follow you for that, right? Because an investor, that person who really cares about their economic situation, they're not just kind of transactional, just looking to buy their first home. They're looking for continual advice. It's a lifestyle thing. It's something that maybe they're looking to, plan their retirement for. They want to stay up to date. And so that's one option in terms of content. The other thing is just be super, super niche, like more even niche than that. That's like maybe a broader niche. But pick a niche. Like I'll give you an example here. There's one person I follow on social media. All this person talks about is the Smith maneuver. And for those of you who don't know, it's like this, specific type of transaction you do where you can maybe tax deduct the interest on your mortgage. But that's all she talks about. And the reason that works is it's more kind of like, I guess you could say needle in a haystack type of thing, but you're bringing a magnet to it. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but long story short is it sticks in your mind, right? So, maybe I'll never do a Smith maneuver, but if I did, I knew exactly who to call, right? So it's a little bit more of that, right? Where you're not going to get this, huge following of people always watching your stuff all day, but you're sticking in people's mind in a very specific way that could lead to those types of conversions. And the third thing, these are all different types of niches. So maybe these are the three niches I'd say. So there's the investing niche, there's the hyper-specific product niche, and then the third is just a geographical area. So I am going to be the authority on this very specific type of property maybe, but in this very specific region. And so that if you own that type of property, like if you own a house in wherever, Timmins, Ontario, if people know where that is, you're going to be following this account because I'm going to be the person providing always up-to-date market information of exactly what's going on with your property and telling you what's going on and the options available to you from a financing perspective as a homeowner or an apartment owner or whatever in this super specific niche. And again, so you can build that following. So all this content is around building a following, and a niche is a really great way to do that. So you want to build followers that are watching your stuff every single day. So that's step number one in terms of the conversion. So stick with me here. Making that niche content, build a following, and then with that following, how you start telling them how you can help them, because really all your posts should be about advice, not really selling, but your stories is where you sell, right? Because, people really just watch those stories. It's okay to say, hey, I just helped this person. I just did this amazing job. Stories are more transactional. They're more about, hey, just what I did today. Within that framework, it's a great way to just show how amazing you are, right? So on my posts, I'm just going to give you great advice, but when you're watching my stories, and some people are like addicted to watching stories, they're just constantly looking, trying to refresh and see what new stories are come up. So it's a great way to get these people to watch. And for those stories, that's the place where you can come in and you can say, I just helped this person. I did an amazing job. I got them financing that no one else can do. I did this really unique thing. And if you're in the same situation, let's chat. For whatever reason, I think it's because it's not evergreen and it's more, just very quick and in your face. It works, right? I don't know why. Maybe that's a whole psychological thing, but like time and time again, I see it that actually in the stories, it's a great place to convert them from just a follower, someone who's interested in your advice, to someone who could potentially be a customer by showing them the value that you bring to the marketplace. And then finally, the close, the hard close, you do that in the DMs, the messaging, right? So when you're doing these stories, you should always leave it with, hey, and if you're in the situation, DM me, direct message me. And that's really important because you don't want to take them off the app. Don't say, hey, check out my website. Say, hey, don't send me an email. Those people are like, I don't know, in their car or like, I don't know, doing whatever. They don't want to then like open up their inbox and type something in. Like you've lost them. They're gone, right? Keep it in app. Keep a hyperlink. They just literally click it and it just jumps over to the DM and they can just message you and say, hey, what's up? Let's chat. And really from there, that's when you start the conversation. That's when you try and do the things you've always done, get them on the phone, show them your value, do a discovery call, and down the line we go. So niche content builds followers, stories allows you to sell with them, and DM allows you to close, right? So following that formula, I see work fairly well. So zooming out, we kind of got really specific there at the end. Hopefully that was useful, but just let's zoom all the way back out again. Production, we got 3 kind of options there. We got the basic talk to your camera, we got use a service, and then we got the top talk to a camera through a service provider, right? Distribution, again, simplest, just upload from your phone. Next layer up is use some software. And then finally for conversions, if you're just looking for brand awareness, check 100% conversion, you're good to go. But if you are looking to bring in leads, follow the formula of niche advice leading to selling in stories to leading to closing in DMs. I see it work pretty well for a lot of people. Love to hear if it works for you. So I'll leave it at there. A lot there. It's about a 20 minutes of just talking about social media and strategies. And of course, this can go much deeper in really any one of those things. But hopefully that gives people kind of a starting point, a foothold, so to speak, on their social media. And if you do have any questions on it, let me know. But thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.